discuss the development of body cavities. So what are the different body cavities? That is pleural, pericardial and peritoneal cavities. So you must be aware of this diagram which we have discussed in our previous lectures. This diagram is showing what? That is, in the center there is septum transversum. Then this is the intraembryonic coelom. So intraembryonic coelom is going to form different cavities. So these are primitive pericardial cavity, then pericardio-peritoneal canal and primitive peritoneal cavity. So this is the procaudal plate. So this diagram we have discussed in our previous lecture, and these diagrams, as I have told you earlier, they are taken from your standard textbooks. Now, subdivision of intraembryonic mesoderm. Before starting with the development of the different body cavities, we will discuss the intraembryonic mesoderm, then we will discuss the intraembryonic coelom, then we can understand how these cavities they develop. So this intraembryonic mesoderm is formed in third week of intrauterine life. It is formed by proliferation of cells in the primitive streak. These cells they separate between ectoderm and endoderm except in the following areas. We know it from our general embryology knowledge, that is procaudal plate, region of notochord, region of cloacal membrane. So these are the three sites where the mesoderm is not present between the ecto and endoderm. So these are the diagrams showing different diagrams showing these three structures. That is, you can see the procaudal plate, then there is a primitive knot is there, then cloacal membrane is there in between. So now you can see that different development, but ecto and endo mesoderm they remain fused at these three different sites. That is procaudal plate, notochord, then comes the cloacal membrane. So here the mesoderm is not lying between ecto and endo. Then is mesodermal cells they spread sideways from the primitive streak. Now they start spreading from the sides. They are just invaginating in the space between ecto and endoderm. So this is the next phenomena. What is happening next to it? The cranial to the procaudal plate, you can see here. So this is the procaudal plate. Cranial to the procaudal plate, the mesoderm of the two sides they just meet with each other. Now at the edge of the embryonic disc, the intraembryonic mesoderm is continuous with the extraembryonic mesoderm. So this is the edge here. This intraembryonic mesoderm is continuing with the extraembryonic mesoderm. Now this intraembryonic mesoderm now divides into paraxial mesoderm. You can see in the diagram. So this is the paraxial mesoderm. Then comes the lateral plate mesoderm. Then comes the intermediate mesoderm in between these two structures. So between the paraxial mesoderm, then this is the lateral plate mesoderm, and in between this is the intermediate zone which is known as the intermediate mesoderm. Now this paraxial mesoderm is going to form the somites. Now you can further see in this diagram what is happening. Small cavities they appear in the lateral plate mesoderm. You can see the small cavities they appear. Later on these small cavities they just fuse with each other. You can see here the meeting of the different cavity is happening. So that meeting is in horseshoe shaped manner, which is running, the limb of which is running cranial to the procaudal plate. So this horseshoe shaped cavity is formed. Now with the formation of the intraembryonic coelom, first what we have discussed, the intraembryonic mesoderm, it appears between ecto and endoderm. Then the small cavities that just appear in the intraembryonic mesoderm, later on they fuse to form a large cavity. Now with the formation of that intraembryonic coelom, the lateral plate splits into somatopleuric and subplanchnopluric mesoderm. So what is the definition, or what are the component of this somatopleuric and subplanchnopluric mesoderm? So the parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm and overlying ectoderm, they are considered as somatopleuric, that is towards the body wall. Somato word is derived from soma means body wall. Then subplanchnopluric mesoderm is continuous with the extraembryonic visceral mesoderm layer covering the yolk sac. And this planchnopluric has component what? That is visceral layer of lateral plate mesoderm and underlying endoderm. So this is planchnopluric and somatopleuric mesoderm. This somatopleuric is continuous with the extra embryonic parietal mesoderm layer over amnion, and this planknopleuric mesoderm is continuous with the extra embryonic visceral mesoderm layer covering the yolk sac. Now, the space between the two layers of lateral plate mesoderm constitute the primitive body cavities. Intraembryonic coelom is a horseshoe-shaped cavity having the midline portion and two lateral parts. It is clear now. The part of the midline portion of the coelom near the cranial end of the embryonic disc forms the pericardial cavity. Now, this portion is going to form the pericardial cavity. Now you can see if from the sagittal plane we just see, or from the lateral side if we see the structure. So this is the pericardial cavity. So this is septum transversum. Now septum transversum is just coming ventral to the foregut with the folding of the embryo. Now the two lateral part forms the peritoneal cavity. The two lateral parts which are running on either side these two limbs. So they are going to form the peritoneal cavity. Now these cavities are connected with each other, that is this peritoneal cavity and this pericardial cavity. They are connected with each other by a pair of pericardio-peritoneal canals. So these pericardio-peritoneal canals, they are going to form the pleural cavities. So one on either side of this foregut, you can see here. So this is the foregut. On one side there is one canal and another side the another canal is there. So these two canals, pericardio-peritoneal canals, they are going to form the pleural cavities. Now parietal and visceral layers of cavities, they develop from somatopleuric and subplanknopleuric mesoderm respectively. So mesodermal cells lining the cavities, they are differentiated into flattened epithelial cells called mesothelium. So now this is the broad outline of how the different cavities they are developed. Now if a question comes on the development of the various cavities, so what are the three important cavities of the body are there, that is pleural, pericardial and peritoneal. First you are supposed to discuss the formation of the intraembryonic mesoderm. Then small cavities, they appear in the intraembryonic mesoderm to form the horseshoe shaped cavity. So from the different parts of that horseshoe shaped cavity, the different cavities they develop, you can see. So here the pericardial cavity, these pericardio-peritoneal canal, they form the pleural cavity, and this part of the cavity is going to form the peritoneal cavity. So this is all about the development of the body cavities. Thank you very much.